In this particular section, we'll go through getting started with transformers. And in getting started with transformers, we're going to look at how to create your first transformer model. Even though we did something in the previous video, but that was just for setup, and we didn't go in detail of the code that we have written over there. So we'll go through that. We'll go through loading pre-trained models. We'll do perform sentiment analysis. Along with performing sentiment analysis, we'll do a little bit more on the text that we have. So let's get started. But before diving into using Hugging Faces transformers, you need to ensure that the library is installed and correctly set up on your system based on whatever we did in the previous video. The installation were covered, but just make sure that you have it before you do anything here. If you're just here to listen up, then you can look at these videos. But if you want to actually do hands-on, you'll probably need to make sure that everything is installed properly. Where we installed the transformers library, went through installing PyTorch or TensorFlow depending on your preference, and then we did some also make sure you verify the installation that everything is available and present. So now for loading your pre-trained models, transformer libraries makes it easy to load and use these models. Let's start with loading a pre-trained model for sentiment analysis. So I'm going to go and create a new project in Python. I'm going to say from transformers import pipeline. I'm going to save it as Python. Just call it first transformer.py. And so here, what is pipeline? Pipeline is a high-level API provided by transformers to perform various tasks. In this case, sentiment analysis automatically selects a suitable pre-trained model for sentiment analysis. How does it know? So what we do here is, let's say I'm going to load some pre-trained sentiment analysis models. For that, I'll use classifier equal to, I'll use the pipeline, which is the API provided. And inside this, I can say that I want to do sentiment analysis. Now you can specifically pick which one you want, going to the website and looking at all the different models that are available, but I'm just let pipeline select for me. Classifier is an instance of the pipeline setup for sentiment analysis. And now next we're going to do the classification using the classifier and store that result in the result, which is the output of the classification, which includes the predicted sentimental label, which is positive or negative, and the associated score, which is the confidence level. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say result equal to classifier, and I'm going to give it some text, which is I love working on AI and using Python programming language. Let's say something like that. And I can print this result. So just with 4 lines of code, you have your sentiment analysis ready. So we spoke about the pipeline, which is a high-level API. The classifier is an instance for pipeline setup, and the result is the output of the classification, which includes the predicted sentimental label, which will either be positive or negative, or the associated score. So let's run this and see how it works. So I'm going to go here and say Python 3 first run this. It's going to show some warning, you can ignore those. And it did not print the result. Why did it not? Python 3 first transformer. Oh, I think I did not save this file. There you go. Run it again. And there you go. So we have the label positive, and the confidence level or the associated score is 0.99, which is, you can also say, 99.5% confident that it's positive tag. Now next what we'll do is we'll explore some other pipeline. The pipeline API in transformers supports a variety of tasks. Some of the other common pipelines are named entity recognition, which is also called as NER. Named entity recognition is a task that involves identifying entities in the text, such as names or people, organizations, locations, etc. So in this case, for example, let's say I'm just gonna comment this out and say I want to use NER pipeline, and the pipeline that I want to use is ner, and I want to say group all the entities together or else it will not. Grouped entities, so people, organizations, locations, it will group everything together. If I set this parameter result equal to ner, and I'm going to say Rana who lives in Atlanta works for uh, Sample Incorporated, something like that. And now I can print result, clear this, let's run it. It's going to go through this, and hopefully there you go. So if you see, this is the group, it's an array that it gives me back with grouped entities, where it recognized that there is a person who's Vivian Arana, there is a location which is in Atlanta, and then there is an organization which is Sample Inc., where Vivian Arana works in. So this is how you can use named entity recognition, where you can go through a bunch of text and then find out the different people mentioned in there, locations, organizations in there. Next thing that we can look at is question answering. This is one of the favorite one. A lot of people ask about this because you want to create bots where people, your customers, can come to you, ask some questions, and you have to answer them. But instead of you answering them, you can create a bot based on all the knowledge base that you have. So first, let's go and comment this out. Now, question answering involves providing an answer to a question based on the given context. So I'll say QA equal to create a pipeline, and inside this I'm going to say question answering, and let it decide which model it wants to use. Question answering. Next, I will give a context. Now you can give a context here, you can give documents, you can give just text here. In this case we'll just use text, and I'll use the same text that I have, and say he loves working on AI and using with something like that. And then I will ask my question equal to where is Vivian Arana based, result equal to QA question equal to, so two parameters it takes, one is the question and the second one is context, equal to context. Now I'll say print the result of this. Go here, run that. Hopefully I've saved this, and it says it has a confidence level of 99.6, where it says answer is Atlanta, based on the question that I asked is where is Vivian based off. He's based off Atlanta because based on this text it was able to find out. Now I've given a smaller piece of text, but you can try this with more context, more data, and see if it works for you. Next thing that I want to do is text generation. Now this is something that a lot of you are familiar with. You're using ChatGPT, Claude, or other services. You probably have seen that you go there, you ask it to generate some text, and it generates text for you. So how you can build your own text generation tool? Now text generation involves generating text based on the given input prompt. Models like GPT-2 are commonly used for this particular task. So I'm going to use GPT-2. I'm going to say generator equal to, I'll use the pipeline which is text generation. Just leave it like that and it will pick the model automatically, or I can say model equal to GPT-2, and then I'll say result should be in using that generator. Once upon a time, and I'll let it generate the rest of the stuff automatically. It takes some parameters like max length, how much I want text to be generated. I'll say 50, and then number of number of return sequences, how many sequences you want. You can ask for more than one sequences. I'm not good at multitasking. Number of return sequences. Perfect. I hope that's right. Let's go and print out the result. Save this. Run it. So it will create a text for you which will start with once upon a time, blah blah blah. So here, once upon a time, we didn't think it would be the last time we had this issue. It isn't. If I run it again, it will generate some other text which starts again with once upon a time during the war second half. As many time I run it, it will have different types of text generated for you based on what it thinks is right. Once upon a time, the power of Dragon King was already on us. I already want to read this more. But, anyways, just to continue, the next thing that we can look at is using the pipeline. We can do machine translation. Let's do machine translation. Comment this out. I'm going to go up and start typing on top. Now, translation between languages can be done using models like I think there's Marian MT, which is used. So I'm gonna translate English to French. So I'm gonna say translation or slater, since it's my translator. You can name it anything that you want, pretty much. That's a variable that we are creating, and I'm going to say translation underscore en underscore 2. I'm going to let it use whatever model it wants to use. I'm very sure it's going to use Marian MT. That's the default one, if I'm not wrong. It's a result equal to translator. What's happening with my typing today? Anyways, translator, and I am going to say Vivian Arana likes to work on multiple projects, and the result I want to print it out. Let's see, my French is not that good, but let's see if it works. Then run this project. I have never used this before, so it's installing the model for me. So I'll give it a little bit time. If you see here, it says no model was supplied, default to Google T5 base. So that's the model that is using right now. So I was wrong, but this is the model it's using to translate my text into French. So I'll give it some time and come back to this. So once it's completed downloading, it will use those models to translate, and it says Vivian Arana. I don't know how to read this. I'm not sure if it's right or wrong, but I do hope that Google T5 translator actually worked perfectly fine. Let me know if there is an issue with this in the comments, and I'll check what the actual translation is. But I'm not going to spend my time looking at this if the translation is wrong or right. So this is how you can use the translation model. It's, of course, everything is free, openly available. You can use these things to write your own applications. Next, another common thing that is used quite a lot is summarization. Sometimes you are given a lot of text and you want to summarize that text. So summarizing involves creating a concise summary of the longer pieces of text. That's what it means. So I am going to create a summarizer variable. I'm going to use a pipeline, and for that pipeline I'm going to say I want to use summarization, and it will pick the model for me. Text equal to, I'm going to give triple and then get some text from somewhere. Give me a second. Text that I've copied over, where it says Hugging Face is a company based in New York. Its headquarters are in Dumbo, therefore very close to Manhattan Bridge. It's in Brooklyn. The company, uh, double O, I think so. The company has created popular open source library called Transformers, which provides blah 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 blah. So that's my entire text that I have, and with this text again, I'll create a result variable, and I'll say summarizer. I'll pass the text to it. I'll say max length for summarization should be 50, and I can also give minimum length equal to 25. uh, Keep it consistent, and do sample equal to false. Don't sample the text, that's what I'm saying here. And then I will print the result. Let's save it, clear this out, and run this again. This is the first time I'm running this summarization, so it might take some time to download the model. It's using Python. It's using SS for whatever this distill BART CNN 12.6 model. So that's what it's going to use by default, and it's going to take some time. So let's get back to it once it's completed downloading. So there you go. Once it downloads everything, it's going to take that text and it has summarized it for us here. Hugging Face provides tools for natural language processing. The company has created popular, and it just cut off here because I've said maximum is 50. So it can kind of do this for you, where you can give it a lot of text, pages and pages of text, and then it will summarize it for you. So in this completes the second section on getting started with Hugging Face's transformer library. It covers the what we covered here was the installation of the library, loading pre-trained models, and using various pipelines for different NLP tasks. So I hope it helps. If you have any questions, get back to me in the comments, and I'll try to answer them as soon as possible. Thank you.